Hi everyone, welcome to Greater Bay Area Business School webinar. I'm Avis, today's moderator. We are very delighted to have our honorable guest today, who is Joseph Chan, the founders and CEO of Asia Pay. Today, we are going to have him sharing to you about his experience in the past, including all the past entrepreneurial journeys, and what is the connection of his journey with the Greater Bay Area, and some of the insight to all of you. Let's welcome Joseph. Joseph, do you mind sharing with us on your entrepreneur journeys in the past? I remember that it had been 21 years. You must have quite a lot of experience to share with them.
Great, thanks. We look forward to that.
So do you mind sharing your entrepreneur journey with them?
Thank you so much. Thanks, Avis. Let me start off with my kind of background and then what business we are running. I started off getting graduated in Australia, getting a Bachelor of Science in Economics. So I have joined a bank for 10 years, working on credit cards and electronic banking. And then in year 2000, got opportunities to form a startup because at that time that digital payment is very primitive and there wasn't much players in Asia or in Hong Kong to serve the market. So since then, with a bit of experience gained from being in a banking career, I started to venture into this space to provide digital payment service and technologies to business and banks in Hong Kong. Definitely, it's not an easy journey at that time because it's very primitive. Hardly there was smartphones or a lot of e-commerce and also the other advanced technologies. Very basic. So it took us pretty much 5 years, from that year 2000 to 2005, and start to break even ourselves and start to venture into Greater Bay Area and Asia. So Asia Pay now has been quite a well-developed companies serving Asia with 11 countries, and we serve banks and merchants on the digital payment space, from credit card to net banking to wallet. Definitely now buy now pay later. So we look forward to the next achievements over time.
Yeah, I think it's not easy. You're covering 11 countries with 13 offices. So it was quite a hardship in the past, right? When we back then to 2003, when the economic was not very good. So could you mind sharing a bit why you get into like e-payment, this kind of business? Is there any insight that you've got from any kind of trend in the past so that got you inside this specific industry?
Yep, definitely. I think that if we do recall, in the old days when we are talking about digitization, next we talk about electronic banking, ATM, IVR, and the term .com just come to our mind in year 2000, 1999. The earlier first mover in this space was PayPal at that time, but there's no other players in that space in Asia as yet. So a bit of a background that we gain from the banks and also a bit of knowledge on credit card. We see that as an independent company, other than the banks, as a private IT company, could better serve the unsatisfied demands of the merchants in the market. And secondly is that when we eyed the market in Hong Kong or in Asia, there wasn't such kind of a player. And we personally, I'm a very big fan of technologies. And when the .com came, we firmly believe that the coming of age of internet will transform the way people live and doing business together. So with that passions and kind of a belief, that is drive me to start this venture.
That was really an inspiring start of your business, as you are using the blue ocean strategy, it's more like, right? You're not engaging in the overseas, like competing with the PayPal. Instead, you step in, stay in Asia to play the same role. But that is a very good start of yours. So would you mind sharing more a bit about your entrepreneur journeys, not only about your corporate, maybe about the payment platform or digital payment journeys?
Yep, absolutely. I think that, let's talk about the payment journey and then talk about my entrepreneurship. I think that when we talk about the digital payment journey, when we first talk about digital payment, largely it's only on internet and just credit cards. But as the digitalizations and the kind of digital commerce start to evolve and transform, and there are new forms of digital payments and also use of mobilities and mobile device to transact. It's go beyond just a PC all along. And along the development of all these digital payment technologies, it come along a whole suite of new payment methods and new security products like tokenizations, wallet, and come to the market. So that come back to you, my journey as an entrepreneur. So as a banker, I have all the comfort sitting in the office, execute what the bank wants to achieve. But being an entrepreneur, I have to drive my own visions and then lead the team and then devise the effective strategies to sustain the company and to grow along our roadmap. So that is quite a key challenge. And the hard fact is that at that time, there wasn't such a very clear, proven business model for a dot-com company at that stage. So management team have to put up collective efforts to try to come up a model that make us viable, because at that time it's not easy to get funding from VC or PC in those days, as you recall. So I break down the whole journey into 4 stages. The first stage is that we have I educated, I get a bit of a basic kind of a know-how of computer science and economics, and my next stage will be the startup stage. So the banking stage. So I worked for 10 years at the bank to accumulate quite some knowledge in terms of product developments, IT management, and the regional deployments, compliance. So that set me a very solid and then the kind of professional foundations for my career as well as for my entrepreneurship. The first stage would be the startup stage. It's pretty much like a hit and miss. So as you already know that no matter SME or startup, they're bound to have a very high failure rate. Yeah. Okay, you can't be proven that you'll be successful at the end of the journey. So that stage requires us a lot of time to kind of test and error, and to understand what is the real need of the market. Are we too early in terms of technologies, or are we too late in the market? Even though that we have a good success in the Hong Kong market, when we start to venture into Asia, there's a totally new chapter that come to our stage 4 developments. When we enter a new market, we have to be very mindful. We cannot expect whatever we have done right or good for the Hong Kong market can be equally applicable in markets like Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, China, Vietnam, and others. So by all means, to allow us to go into this market successfully, we have to put our all efforts to understand the market. That means understand the government policies, understand the banks interested, and also the consumer behavior, and the readiness of these digital consumers. And are they readily receptive to online payment or mobile payment? If you recall in the old days, can you recall when was the day we start making a payment online? People still skeptical, putting the card number onto a payment page, right? There are lots of talks about the website is secure enough or not. It still will take a long while before the public gain the trust and confidence to shop online. The same case applies to markets like Malaysia, China, Vietnam, especially those markets at the early stage was not so much a credit card market, but they are more appeal to like debit card or net banking, all these sort of payment methods to do your digital spend. And definitely nowadays that become wallets. Nowadays, buy now, pay later, all sorts of new payment methods now come to the market.
Mm-hmm. I think during your past journeys, the talent retention is really important, right? Because like you've mentioned, you face lots of hiccup at the beginning to form your team, to formulate a very standardized business strategies. So probably I think the talent retention would be one of the key hurdles that you've faced before. The second one is the localization, right? You've just mentioned that, hey, to localize to different countries, we can't use the previous experience to just copy and paste on that. So would you share with us one of the examples in the past, especially on localization, which makes you really headache?
Yep. And maybe I take one example in Thailand and one example in China, Greater Bay Area. Yeah. So I think that in Thailand, the market is not as credit card heavy, and we have a language barrier because we cannot speak Thai or understand Thai. And all the documentations and menu need to be in Thai. And the first thing we did was we need to create a local brand of our service. So on top of the $Pay brand we have in Asia, in Hong Kong, we start to build a brand called CMPay. That the brand name can have a more relevancy to the markets in Thailand. At the same time, we are not also be mindful that if you're going to build and then enter the Thailand market, we just cannot put our Hong Kong staff into Thailand market. We have to find our core, strong, competent team locally who understand the market, who can easily convey and communicate with the banks and merchants. So this is the how importance of localization in Thailand. Let's talk about China. As you know that when we talk about digital payments, Hong Kong at the early stage of digital payments, consumer easily can enjoy credit card payments, right? And subsequent followed by net banking. But if you go into China, it's a different market. So majority of the populations do not have credit cards in the old days 10, 15 years ago. So what they can do to make purchases is using net banking, 銀聯, 一個網銀, something like that. So they would debit from the debit account from the internet banking to make transactions online. So the kind of product mix and also the pricing, user interface of checkout is quite different. So we have to localize this in the context to meet the requirement. And definitely, our core competence in Hong Kong would be the whole speed of credit card payment processing for digital payments. And in China, the demand is totally different. So we have to tune our sales strategies so we cannot too rely on cross-border payments that accept credit cards like hotels or whatever. But we have to start off some domestic online payments first, like groceries, domestic consumptions, before we scale out to hospitality sectors in China. So that's how we get another examples of how we go into a market that's new outside Hong Kong.
There must be quite lots of harsh time in the past, right? So when we are talking about you having all the business over 11 countries, would you mind trying to compare a bit between them? You show us the example of Thailand, China, but which area that really makes you have a very harsh time in the past to get in?
Well, I think that whenever business in what country, there are always new challenges. Okay, it can be from compliance, regulatory change, new laws, rules, and regulations, and then and also the difficulties to access to the right talents. But I think that along the journey, we start to learn. Being an entrepreneur, we have to keep learning every single day. And secondly, we have to be mindful that we need to embrace changes at all times. The last of all, a successful business built on a competent professional talents, a team of professionals. So we always be mindful that how we, as you just mentioned, the importance of finding the right people doing the right job, and then they treasure to support you in the business journey, loyal, and they also grow in line with your company. That will be a perfect fit together.
Right. So for the talent retention or building up of the whole talent team, the culture is the key, right? Because the culture could help them to love the company, and the mission and the vision and the value. So from the Asia Pay, okay, is there any kind of competitive advantages that you want to share with us?
Definitely. As the company name shares, when we start off the business, we do not aim for just a domestic payment player. So we have a bit of a bold kind of a visions to be a leading player in Asia. So we didn't stop our journey starting from a little bit of a success in Hong Kong in those days. So that also set us apart from other players. If you recall, a lot of digital payment company, sometimes they are domestic focused a lot. So they may be in China, in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. They have a very strong footprint in the local market. But it doesn't allow them to serve a lot of MNC demands. So when nowadays when we talk about digital payments, typical like hotel group or e-commerce giants, when they go digital, they will go digital together for 10 markets in Asia, online, mobile, and all this at the same time. So either you can provide them a one-stop solutions like AsiaPay does, or you will lose out, and it will be a very painful exercise for some of these brands to connect country by country, the banks, alternate payment, wallet, and your mobile channels. So the integrations across 11 markets is definitely our strong advantage. And secondly is that our track record in the market. As you know, that digital payments are one of the core values is the trust. And the core components behind the trust is the securities, the professionalism, the expertise in digital space. So if I'm a merchant, if I see a digital player who have 20 years track record of serving a lot of MNC versus a new startup in a country of like 3 to 4 years time, the MNC would be more inclined to more consider those who have a solid track record. And the third differentiation is our alliance, the network. We always say the word, apart from data is the blood of the company, I think the second word that comes to us would be the network, the infrastructure. So we have built an infrastructure to cover 11 markets, not only geographically, but all the banks we work with, both acquirers, issuers, alternate payments, net banking, buy now, pay later, QR code platform, to make it one of the most comprehensive solutions ever to cover the whole Asian market. And the last of all, I think, would be the advanced technologies. Because when you talk about your technologies, we always have to be mindful that we cannot afford to run a business that we are a market follower. We have to be a market leader. So from time to time, we have to be mindful that will push us ahead to kind of innovate new solutions, follow new black practice standards in the digital space, from credit card to QR, to be a much in advance before the market comes. So that is something, because of our 11 market coverage, we do have a bit of an advantage to understand some of the earlier requirement of a merchant in country A or in country B or whatever. And with that, excitements come, and that feel and allow us to early understand, oh, this could be the coming trends or coming demands. And then that is the time that we have to put sufficient R&D to make all these new solutions and products ready to serve the market.
Oh, that is really impressive, huh? Like what you've mentioned, the data of your company is the blood, right? And the infrastructure, the network is the bone, I would say. So you form a very strong giant at the moment. And I think the key is the trust as well. Like your scale, you have a big scale now, you have a proven track record in past, and then even in the future, it's expandable business model. So that's why all the potential new clients, they're happy to join together with you to have these journeys together. So what about from a strategy point of view, okay? What you've talked about is, you have shared with us your past, the competitive edge at the moment. But what's next? What is your next strategies you want to share with them?
Right. I think that, I'm a strong believer in the innovations and technologies. There's so many buzzwords. Used to be e-commerce, m-commerce, and then the unified commerce, and now it's the digital transformations, right? You have a lot of buzzwords like the cryptos, NFT. I think the digital transformations will continue to evolve, and it will continue to evolve in a much faster pace. So I think that in the old days, we can sit still of serving credit card payments for 5 or 10 years comfortably, but not anymore. Imagine how many new payment brands come to our life in the past 2 years only. We have the FPS, we have the PayMe, we have the Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. All this comes to the market and the consumer mindset. So what we anticipate in the future is that in the digital payment space, they're going to still continue to have a phenomenal pace of changes in the market. We generalize the changes into 4 areas, like a Mickey Mouse, MICE. So each of the words means what? There will be continuing new evolutions of new payment methods, M for methods. In the old days, you can only get used to paying by credit cards, but now you can make use of many payment options to make your transaction, or even a wallet, even a buy now, pay later. The second word of MICE is the I, infrastructure. When you talk about payments, there's going to be some infrastructure to do authorizations, clearance, and settlements for the merchants to collect the money after they sell the goods and services. So in that regards, we used to talk about ACH, the banking infrastructure, the SWIFT, the credit card systems. But now there are more and more talks about a lot of new infrastructure like the CBDC, crypto, national currencies. We talk about blockchain. We talk about a lot of other new form of infrastructures to facilitate payment transfers in between two parties. The third letter C is channels. As you know, digital spend used to be confined to a web or mobile. Not anymore. When you're kind of chit chat or kind of reading some Facebook or social media page, chances are sometimes you can be pushed a lot of promotions and you can buy on the spot when you are browsing social media. And secondly, have you ever visited some KOL 帶貨係咪？ And you can inspire you to buy certain things not from the website, not from the mobile app of the merchant, but at that program. We talk about some smart living. We talk about smart home, smart cars. Eventually, people can shop using the fridge at home or in the car. They will come with a wallet, and then you can go for driving, petrols, without picking the cards or mobile phone to make the payment. And that will be already IoT devices. So we will see continued phenomenal way of changing the lifestyle of consumers. When they make a purchase, the decision does not only limit to web or mobile phone in a very wide spectrum. And the last word will be the developments and the R&D, the growth. It will be on the E. For E, we use it experience. In the old days, when you use card to make purchases, we still have to put the card out, key in the card number, expiry date, and all this. And eventually, now if you have an Apple phone, you can put your card into the Apple phone, and you can use it by Apple Pay. Right. And when you use the confirm the payment, you don't need to get any OTP or whatever. You can browse, you can surf, swipe your fingerprints. Yeah. And that is an experience that can drive you a lot easier to transact, to minimize frictions, and then speed up the sales conversion. The same case apply in the retail stores. As you can imagine, retail stores, you don't have to queue a long queue to check out. You can do your own barcode scanning, and then tap your card, you're using an NFC card or phone, off you goes. And then it's the beauties of transforming a lot of your traditional experience on the queuing, pulling out the credit cards by much more frictionless payment nowadays.
Right. I think this kind of MICE concept is really giving us a good insight for the future. It's not only about how broad is it, is the in-depth of it. Like you share the channels, right? The experience that we are having every day. It's not talking about 10 years, like the Murphy rules, right? It's taking like weeks now. So let us link back a bit to Greater Bay Area, okay? Why GBA? Why Greater Bay Area?
Okay, I think that I use the term SEO in the tech space. I think whenever people talk about the Greater Bay Area, that one of the key striking reason is that because they want to scale the business. Right. Hong Kong is a 7 million people consumer market, but we talk about your Greater Bay Area is 10-fold plus. Right. So if you want to sell to a much bigger space, the most nearest market you would like to get to would be Greater Bay Area. Right. You scale it up, your business, sales, your technology provisions. Then the SEO, the second letter is E. You want to expand. Your investors will come back to you. Okay, where do you want to expand on your next phase after your success in Hong Kong? So apart from Asian market or your US, it's too far-fetched. Time difference, language, culture barrier, and more easier for Hong Kong entrepreneur. I think that to the easiest next step expansions of the business would be Greater Bay Area. And the SEO, the third letter O, stands for opportunities. And when we talk about your technology play or your R&D, we can't lose sight of the need to access to cost-effective and the supply of talents. So when we talk about talents, people in now this kind of a startup, fintech evolution, we need a lot of talents in blockchain, AI, big data. Imagine how challenged we are in Hong Kong to find all the needed resources and the budgets. You need to get all these professional talent to help you with all the R&Ds you plan. So Greater Bay Area is definitely one of the more immediate and very practical markets that we cannot lose sight. And on top of that, I think Greater Bay Area do provide us a lot of advanced technologies because there are going to be a R&D hub. There are lots of hardware or other R&D work that has been done by other giants and whatever that will help your business to grow further.
Right. So it seems like there are quite lots of Greater Bay Area opportunities, right? It's not only for the entrepreneur who are doing business, but it's also for those who want to have a career, right? You know, in Hong Kong, most of the people, if we divide it simply doing business or working, right? Being an employee. So from the Greater Bay Area, what do you think from your perspective for looking for like a career in GBA? Is there any opportunities on that as well?
Well, definitely. I think that in Hong Kong, one of the more renowned kind of professionals is the capabilities and also the kind of experience of Hong Kong professionals in aspects of like the link or understanding of international market as a gateway, and also can act as a bridge because of our kind of culture, more near to the Western world. And I think that when we prepare a career in the Greater Bay Area, this is my personal kind of sharing. I think you also be mindful of the changes on lifestyle, the culture. In the old days, Hong Kong used to be very workaholic, but nowadays not anymore. In China, they are equally very devoted to the work, like 996, right? 对. And then they are even more talks about more involvement into daily work, and the pace of changes and also the kind of work pace is far phenomenal nowadays. And secondly, I think that that is one we may need to be mindful to consider. And secondly is that when you prepare to go into work in China, I think you have to embrace their lifestyle, right? And also be understand how people think in China, not those values that Hong Kong people keep thinking in the Hong Kong way. And the last of all, definitely have to be respect the political difference. You don't try to offend your colleagues, your boss, if you express something that is not something they agreed. So I think that there is some highlights that we believe that
right. The cultural respect is quite important, right? For having or building your career over a new place which has full of opportunity as well. So we always said that, hey, GBA got quite large opportunities. It's the gateway to China market. And do you mind share your experience in GBA?
Right. Maybe I come to the slides that what will be the challenges. When we start off going into China, we kind of understand and then build some products to serve the market, especially on the merchant side. And we come to see a few challenges. First of all is that how to retain a good quality team. Because in the IT industries, a lot of young developers, they are very passionate in technologies. You have to satisfy them, their hunger for technologies, the career growth. So as a startup in Hong Kong, we have to bring all these elements along your culture to grow the team in China. Okay, that's one. Secondly is that we also be mindful of be observing all the policy changes of the Hong Kong government. Because any changes could have potential impact to your business model or your way you plan ahead in your business futures. And secondly is that when we talk about expanding into business in China, I think that one of the challenge of us is that we also have to understand their culture. So we would have to work with them, respect them, how they plan their work. So we are a bit of one step backward to understand, to try to actively listen, to respect what they see the market potentials. How do they go about marketing, sales development? This is totally different to that happens in Hong Kong. In social media, the kind of use of social media is quite different. So that is how we people talk about WeChat, Weibo, in Hong Kong we are talking about WhatsApp, Facebook. The way you do things on the two platforms is already totally different.
Yeah, right. So apart from these key challenges, do you think that in your past experience, you have and you have quite a lot of footprint in Greater Bay Area as well. You have 2 offices in China. So in the past, could you share a bit about the challenge that you had faced in the Greater Bay Area as well?
Yep. I think that we are quite touch wood. When we first started business, we start humbly as a small operation, about 10 to 20 staff in Guangzhou, which is easy for me to go to manage and to communicate. And then with a bit more success, then we start our second operations in the Shanghai. And we are yet to evaluate when is the time is right for us to go for the third operation, whether it's Beijing or other parts of China. I think we have gone through some smooth, nice journey and some tough areas, tough times. One of the tough times is that when we talk about digital payment, just to recall, we just talked about, we start off from the journey of credit card first. Subsequently, adding CUP, adding WeChat Alipay onto a platform. But as we go along, we come to have suffer from the changing of banks' appetite in the credit card payment. Because that when the market opened up, there are lots of payment companies and merchants opening merchant account for credit card payment acceptance. Hotel, retailers, a lot of branded online stores. But as you know, because of open up so fast, there are some bad guys that abusing the merchant account services, selling things illegally. And that rings the bell of the banks that they need to tighten the onboarding of the merchant. And finally, because of so much problems on like merchant side in terms of fraud, in terms of doing illegal business, a lot of banks tend to shy off. They do not want to do credit card business at all. And that creates a big dilemma for a payment company like us. And we have to adjust our strategies. We cannot solely rely on credit card payments, which are dominant for cross-border payment, like hotel bookings, airline booking. But we have to shift more focus on domestic purchases, like adding acceptance of CUP, WeChat Alipay. The next challenges come. When we talk about all this domestic payment, it's a bloodshed. It's a red ocean. You have to compete with hundreds of similar players who equally have the same access to all these payment products. So it's not an easy game, because as a new entrant from a Hong Kong background, we don't have such a connections, have such a network of clients. We have to build ourselves. That is one of the biggest challenges.
Wow. How long does it take you to overcome all these challenges, to build up a proper established network with you in China?
I think that we're still learning every day. We are not there yet. We're still learning how to do a better, run in a better shape. So I think that we have learned quite a lot in the first 3 to 5 years time, because it's keep changing. And then I think that now it's come to a stage that we have more established connections, partnerships, merchants than 5 years ago, and then set us apart when there are new opportunities in the China market or Greater Bay Area. We hope that we are well positioned for these new opportunities.
So we now know about your journeys in the past, and we know Greater Bay Area got the opportunities and the challenges as well. So do you mind sharing with us some insight on the mega trend? Because in the past, like when we had the QR code, it helped us to make the payment method more easier, right? Then now, is there any mega trend in your mind that is helping you to drive your business, or even driving the GBA, the whole world? Is there any you would like to share with us?
Yep, definitely. I think that very layman, there's a mega trend everybody see and experience or enjoying. The mega trend, first of all, the continued evolutions of web internet technologies, there's no way back. The same case for mobilities. We are expecting a kind of disruptions of technologies and convenience because of the mobilities, 5Gs and all this. And I think these two will unarguably will continue. And because of the 5Gs and others, it fuels a lot of expectations of the kind of data can be collected and processed will gone phenomenal. We used to talk about characters, text, voice, and now it's talk about multimedia. The kind of data exchange or kind of use of the data will go phenomenal when 5G is coming, and so is the applications. And I think that some of the mega trends, I think, is the consumer changes that we experience. COVID, it make a very impactful change on consumers and the way businessmen think of doing business. In the old days, if they're running a bricks and mortars business, they are in a very comfort zone, right? As long as I have a good network of retailers, shops, I'll be fine. But not anymore. This can disrupt you in a sudden when a COVID like this or another unknown pandemic could be disrupt again. So I think that because of COVID, it changed the mindset of consumers that I don't need to go downstairs to buy some groceries, or even aged people are trained up or experience and enjoy the convenience of making purchase on a digital way, right? And even my dad and mom doesn't use the apps to buy things, they can now. So I think that trend will not be reversed. In the old days, when you talk about tech savvy, those ones who prepare to spend money digitally seems to be more tech savvy. But you hardly see read this term nowadays, because virtually anyone with a mobile phone understand how to click and certain things, they are buying things already. So this is the trends that we see. And the last of all, I think, is the kind of lifestyle changes. When we talk about in the old days, when even mobile phone was not there, or when we talk about communicate with friends, we have to make a dial-up phone, right? Okay, all right. And this way to communicate. But nowadays, the way of communication has gone phenomenal. You know the friends' updates not from he calling you, but reading their Facebook page, right? And in that regards, we spend a lot of time interacting and understanding each other, not anymore by direct approach, but through a lot of multimedia means or social media means. And that is why consumer tends to have more kind of 場景 ways to make their decisions on buying in different kind of aspects. So this trend will not end. People enjoy shopping, not they go onto a store, feel the goods on the shelf, but they enjoy buying the things from watching a video, watching a KOL. So that is something we see that will continue to change.
Right. I think these kind of new mega trend that we are facing now every day really changed the world. Like the social media you've mentioned, the live streaming, I personally, watch it every day. I purchase that, even my parents purchase the stock online, everything. So after we walk through all this with you, do you have any kind of message that you want to bring to those entrepreneurs?
Right. Well, I think I can move on to use the word peace. So, sometimes people think that doing business like fighting with each other, right, is a red ocean. But I think I try to bring out the word peace of mind, that to use the 5 letters to illustrate my 心路歷程, my personal belief. I think the first P for entrepreneur on doing business is passions. No matter you are a professional, you want to be a professional or you want to run your business, you have your passion in your mind, in your heart, what you want to achieve. Passion is very important for P. And the E stands for, I used this before just now, you have to always be mindful for embrace changes. No matter if you are a professional executive or you are an entrepreneur, changes happen in the organization, in product mix. No matter you are giants today, you could be nobody in the next year, whatever. The third letter of peace is A. You need to be agile because you are not the one making the market. In most cases, we are the market follower. The trend is there, we follow the trends. But you are the one setting the trends. So you have to be agile to follow, maneuver your company to the right directions. And that's, at the same time, even if you are professionals, you have to be mindful of, would there be any comparing changes or impact of your business or your industry or your career because of all these changes? People talk about, would there be still a accounting job in the next 10 to 20 years? If not, then what you are preparing yourself ahead. And the fourth letter of this word peace is C, collaborate. Use the word C as collaborations. Nowadays, no single company, no matter how giants, how big is the company, no matter banks or insurance company, they start to look for collaboration partners. They just cannot have all the manpower or justify the resources to do all the R&D. So you can see that there are lots of blue chips company. They have a venture arm. This venture arm to invest into startups. The venture arm to bring in some new technologies to fast track all the technological transformations or digital innovations. So collaboration is very key, especially for a payment company. On top of us providing payment technologies to the market, we have to collaborate a lot of stakeholders, no matter it's card companies, banks, wallet players, and even some startup of like chatbot, social media, AI providers, eKYC platform. So we have to collaborate rather than we build all to ourselves. And the fifth letters of peace, the E is evolve. Don't sit still. There's no comfort zone in business. The things will keep evolving. So we have to, if you're going to be, you are the company leader, you will be a chair, you'll be tasked to champion, to drive, be in the driver's seats, to bring continued evolutions of your company and bring it to the next level.
Right, great. I think these kind of, all these experience are really, really, really precious to all of you guys. Not only be an entrepreneur, but also to develop your career in Greater Bay Area as well. Really thanks, Joseph, today for all of your sharings. So I think last but not the least, is there any key takeaway you want to share with all of us?
Right. I think that I just share one slide that I think you can access. I think first of all, no matter you want to start a new career life in Greater Bay Area or you start a new business, I think be no fear. You have to go into the unconquered, undeveloped market at all time. Experience it, you gain from this journey. And secondly is that no matter it's a professional career or your new business, you always have to stay focused. But doesn't mean that you have stubbornly stay focused. You have to accumulate your focus, your time, resources to do something good before you venture or change to some business model. Otherwise, 半桶水, and you're doing this and jump to the others, you will waste your time in all that aspects. And the third is that if you want to do a business, I think you may also be mindful that you need to be mindful how you become try to be an early mover. Instead of eat the dust, you make the dust. And then you have to devise some entry barrier to fend off competitors. For example, if you go into Greater Bay Area, there are far more giants or companies who have far more resources than you. If you're going to build up a very tiny product, you can easily copy it. And then all the things that you have built up, invest could be drained. So, and that is the third takeaway. The fourth takeaway is localized learning. It's very crucial. Don't expect things happen, it's proven successful in Hong Kong, works in China, right? And the last is how to sustain. Always be mindful, it's a very old school thought is, what if? You think subjectively, this is the business will grow, will fly. But what if it doesn't fly? What if the career gets you nowhere? So you have to have your contingency plan, especially those you have to have the mindset of being risk reversed. So we have to be mindful when the risk comes, can you afford the risk and what to go about the risk?
Great. Thank you so much, Joseph, for today's sharing. We really appreciate the time you share with us, and we look forward to seeing you in the future in other webinars. So thanks you, and thanks everyone.
Thank you so much.